What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video from Mr. Gray's Talk Room. I am your host, Christian Gray. Today, I want to talk about the power of being single. Now, recently, I actually had a couple of friends who went from being in a relationship to it's complicated to what looks like common law marriage or in a very serious relationship for however many years with a child and the other one without a child. And then all of a sudden, they just go from this said type of relationship to single. Now, I've been the one in the group of my friends who's been single for the longest time. Now, this is not to say I haven't had some what I thought were potential relationships, but of course the other woman called things off, or I called things off because of whatever said reasons. And we always make a joke in our group chat. A couple of my friends are married, one's engaged. I have a couple of other friends. Some I think he's in Washington now. He's married with his wife, has a couple of kids. Happy for him. And then, of course, one of my hometown best friends, he was married and then is going through a divorce, new baby mama. I've always said this, and I'll say this again, because this is going to set the premise for the entire video. You can be totally head over heels for a woman that you would want to do whatever you possibly can. But when that shit hits the fan, I've always said that I am the one person you're supposed to call. Out of all people that you believe are your friends, you call me. You don't lose your shit, try to get yourself a domestic violence charge or try to beat the shit out of her. You don't try to hit her. I think that's very morally wrong. But I do believe, because you go from what feels like heroin, the same time when you love someone so much deeply, and you would give her the entire world, and then all of a sudden she says, "I don't want to do this anymore." You literally have this heroin dump just taken off, and now you're going through withdrawal and you're trying to get into remission. It's gonna hurt. Every relationship, every breakup that I've had, it's always hurt, especially the serious ones. Now, the ones that I didn't invest too much early in, there's a reason why I'm very reserved in my emotions, and I don't want to give too much too soon. But the reason why I tell these guys in my group chat that you call me is because I'm always going to be there. And of course, my friends have always said that we'll be there if anything happens. However, it comes into a point where we had this conversation in May, and we were joking around. It was just us friends. We were outside having cigars, talking to each other like we all do. It was a boys and girls trip, and I was supposed to bring a woman, but she had shit to do. And so they had asked me, "Do you like this woman?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. She seems very quaint. She's very modest. She's very demure. She is not provocative on social media. I've seen her Instagram. There's nothing in there that indicates that she's a 304. She has a job. She got her master's degree. She pays her own bills. She's a teacher, no less. And then she has a side hustle where I believe she did professional development credits or something like that for teachers." And I'm telling the guys, I'm like, I would date this girl long term. Now, when I had met her, she was 29 and she had just turned 30. And I've always made this joke to every woman that I meet and I'm 20, I just turned 27. I've always made this joke that women who are 30 and up, if normally we're always at a bar, I always say this joke that there are more people in this bar than you have eggs left. And for me, if you want this to be long term, if you just want to have fun, fine. I don't care. Makes no difference to me. At least I know I could put you in the category of women that I have sex with and women that I sleep with. Women that I want to wake up next to. You're in this category. You're just a woman that I'm going to have sex with. And I won't sleep with you. I won't spend the night. And long story short, she ends up calling things off. She's saying that she's not ready for a relationship right now, which I believe 5 weeks is a little bit short to even say that we're in a relationship, because I always wait for the woman, and I'm actually glad I didn't initiate any kind of relationship, because I'm always waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I pretty much told her that I didn't even think that we were in type of relationship. We're just casually fucking each other. So she broke things off, never texted, never called, never emailed. We weren't even friends on Facebook or any kind of social media. Now, there was another woman that I had met, completely devoted Catholic girl, and I had to let her go for what I found were moral reasons. She was too good for me. And there was a lot of conflict between me and her that because she was very devoted Roman Catholic, and I already know how Hispanic households are. They all want to be my friends on Facebook. They all want to follow me on social media. They're going to be giving her shit about my podcast and about my content. I already got shit from my own family members. And I told her that's going to be a difficult thing. You would have to be battling that with your family. I give two shits. I'm fucking you. I'm dating you. I'm not dating your family. Now, of course, I'll pay respect to your dad or your mother, as I always will. If you give me respect, I'll pay respect back. If he disrespects me or she disrespects me, I'll just remove myself from the equation. I'll be like, now I know where I stand, but I'm not going to be around for any kind of family functions for you because I don't want to be in a place where I'm not welcome. So I had to let that go too. And I want to talk about the first one. The first one was a friend of mine, Jake, that I actually met through my best friend. And essentially, this guy makes 6 figures a year, and I believe he's a diesel mechanic. So he's putting in a lot of overtime, a lot of tough work, a lot of hard labor. People like him are the people who set the foundation for us to be able to function. Highways, construction, mechanic, oil rigs, all these tough, hard labor jobs. It's one thing being an engineer, and then it's another thing being a laborer. And this guy's a true laborer. He's a good, hard worker. And he gets this house. He has a child with this woman. And he's also taking care of daughters that aren't his and treating them as of his own. And I say this, it would be really tough for me as a man to bring in a relationship with a woman who has a child if the baby daddy's involved. Because if it's not a cordial relationship, that stressor is something that I just don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with that stressor. Now, if it's a baby mama who doesn't have the daddy in the picture, he's AWOL, he doesn't give a shit, that I could deal with that. I could deal with one child. But I can't deal with multiple because it just makes things way too complex. And I will say this, God rest my dad's soul in heaven. He brought me in, and he wasn't even my biological grandfather. He was like my grandmother's second husband. But he treated me like his own son. And if you look at him, he is black. I am talking about Afro-Latino. I don't know if he's Dominican or Honduran, but he is black. And then you look at me, and I'm white. My aunt and her sons, brown, dark. My mom, me, and my sister, all white. My grandmother, she's Indian tan. So when you put it into that perspective, he treated me as his own. He taught me how to fight. He taught me how to shave. He taught me how to ride a bike. And I pay respect to that because he didn't have to do that. I know some men out here that they will just disregard this. I know personally that there is somebody that I'm closely related to and stepdad disregards him. And it irks me. It really does. Because my dad didn't do that. And I wasn't even blood. But his entire family took me in. I love my Abuela Pancha, my great-grandmother Frances. Love her to death. She treated me the same way. And it was always weird growing up as I got older that I was the lightest one. But that's Abuela Pancha. That's my great-grandma Frances. Everybody treats respect to great-grandma Frances. No matter what, she treated me the same respect. And I will tell you this. She was 70-something years old, but her hand really hurt more than the belt. And so, going back to my friend Jacob, where he's here, and I remember seeing this Facebook post. I was actually getting my eyes checked, and I was getting my prescription, and I see on Facebook, essentially what it said was, you do all this work for a woman, you bring in their 2 daughters, and then she goes from Dr. Jekyll to Mr. Hyde, you will never see your son again. Now, I think that is cruel to do for a man who's been supporting everything. You're a stay-at-home wife. You don't have a job. He's taking care of children that aren't his, giving them their own room and bunk beds, providing for the whole house. You don't have to worry about food. You don't have to worry about the electricity bill. You don't have to worry about Wi-Fi. He's paying for the table. He's paying for the sofa. He's paying for the TV. Everything that you could possibly ask for. And all you have to do as a woman is cook, clean, wash, suck him off, and give him sex. That's it. You have 8 to 12 hours to keep the house tidy and take care of his son and take care of your daughters while he takes care of everything else. And you're still gonna be a fucking asshole and say you will never see your son again. That's cruel, and I believe that's called parent alienation, if I'm correct. Because I remember there was a time where I was in a fucked up situationship and I caught feelings for a daughter, or the woman's daughter. And when that bond was broken, I was more hurt that I couldn't take care of the daughter or just be there for the daughter, because I obviously treated it as my own. And in a way, she did use that against me. She did use a very manipulative tactic to make me feel like shit. Now, my emotions are definitely on reserve because I don't want to put myself in a situation like that, because that shit hurt. And I've had some fucked up situations. But I learned this. This is something that I learned. So, essentially, when Jacob puts his post on Facebook and I was at the optometrist's office, I text him immediately. I said, "Hey bro, are you okay?" He says, "No." Motherfucker almost cried over the phone. And he's a strong motherfucker, strong-willed. He's a little bit more savage than me. If you think I'm savage, this motherfucker's savage. And I said, "I'll be there in an hour." So I go from Fort Worth all the way to Burleson in mid-traffic from like 4:45. Didn't get there till 6. I go in there and he just laid it down on the table. He's showing me the voice recording that he had. And I'm thinking to myself, bro, I don't know how the hell you dealt with this. It was so toxic. I don't know if I got radiation poisoning or what, but it's those types of relationships that I refuse to put myself in. That's why I'm very particular about the women that I date with and the women that I want to date with long term. I don't want to have a kid right away. I'd say it's about a year vetting process, because I don't want to be stuck with a woman like that, because that's a lot of stressors to deal with. Like, my life is stress already. But because I know how to manage my stress, because I have these systems in place where I can make sure that I'm not overworked and underpaid, regardless of all the outside shit, I don't want to be put in that situation. And then I remember I met up with him on a Sunday afternoon on West 7th, and he had been drinking all day, but I remember he was like really breaking down at one of the bars, and I'm like, that's exactly why you call me. You break down to me. All my friends know this, but because he was a friend of a friend, but I've always treated them the same. You treat me with respect. If you give me loyalty, that's all I ask. I'm always going to be there for you, no matter what. And I text him, or I'm listening to him, and we're at the table, we're smoking some cigarillos, and he's just breaking down, crying. He is drunk, over the top drunk. But I'm like, you cry to me, you don't cry to her. Now, fast forward, if that was in, I'll say like the end of May, start of June. Here, this last month, July, my best friend puts in the Snapchat in our group, and he says, "Hey bro, just want to let you know, me and my girlfriend broke up." Now, bear in mind, in the beginning of July, I was in South Padre Island, and that's like a 10-hour drive from there to Fort Worth. And I tell him, I'll be there in 10 hours. I'm going to bring some cigars and whiskey. He says, "No, bro, don't worry about it. You know, it's not a big deal." No, it is a big deal, because I know the type of man you are, and that's the way you have to be as a best friend. I know the type of man he is. And I don't say this in a derogatory way. I just know that he can bottle things up and just wait for it to be almost like an intermittent explosion. You just don't know when he's going to pop. So I'm there. I show up to his house probably about like 10:30. And he's like, holy shit, you're true to your word. Like, I was just going to go to sleep. I'm like, no, I need to make sure that you're okay. Because when I was at my lowest, a couple of years ago, I want to say it was 2021 March. This was after I got my diagnosis with bipolar disorder. I'm going through a whole bunch of med changes. I finally got into stability. I'm still seeing a therapist. I'm still seeing a psychiatrist. And because I was overworked and underpaid at one of my at one of the jobs that I had, and I had to deal with the fact that I was in that toxic relationship, there was so much stress. I just didn't even know how to process it all like a man. Because it was because before that, it was 2019 where I'd gotten out of a toxic relationship, and then it was 2022 or 2020 also. I had a one toxic relationship. Then I was in a very good relationship. It was right before I got my diagnosis, and I had to let her go because I knew she wasn't able to deal with the shit that I was going through. And I say this because when I told her, hey, I'm getting a psychological evaluation, what I thought was ADHD, but the differential is bipolar disorder, her response was, where are we going to go eat? And I knew at that second, she's not going to, I don't want to drag her through this. I don't want to drag her through all the emotions, all the med changes, all the therapy that I didn't have before. It was after that fact, right? And I didn't want to put her through that. She was a very good girl. If I told her jump, she'd say how high. Really good submissive as well. Had a lot of experimentation together, and I took her out to Six Flags. I took her out to Dallas. We had Airbnbs. I took her traveling. She was my passenger princess. She never, ever questioned me. I could be at the house. She could see that I'm distraught. She would just not say a word and hug me close. That's it. That's all she had to do. She allowed me to shut my brain off. But I had to let her go because of that situation. Because I wasn't going to be able to be the mountain she could crash her emotional waves to, because she was also dealing with stuff with her parents and a divorce and whatnot. So fast forward to 2021, I'm getting all these things in place, right? But I have this toxic relationship to deal with, and my job's on the line. It had already been written up twice. And so by May, I was fired on vacation for a bullshit reason. And I knew it was my time calling. Don't get me wrong, the position that I'm in now, they pay me well, give me great benefits, they give me a lot of autonomy, so I can't complain. And I also get paid 50% more to do less work. And so at that time, 2021, there was a point in my life where my suicidal ideation, never had a plan. I've never been hospitalized since I've had my diagnosis. What was it? 2020 of January 16th, I think. I've never been, let me write some shit down so I can kill myself. No, because there was a period where that March, I almost died from a freak vehicle accident. And if I let go of the wheel, everybody would have thought that, oh, he just died from a freak vehicle accident. But I didn't let that thought persevere. I put it to the back of my mind, swerved back into the road, went to the Buc-ee's, called my mom. Hey, Mom, I know I'm going down south. Just want to let you know I'm okay. Almost got in a wreck, but I'm fine. And I kind of held everything in till I could get back from the New Braunfels Buc-ee's. My car's getting towed, no less. New Braunfels Buc-ee's to Buda. Francis, thank you very much for opening your home to me. As always, you've always been kind and cordial, so I appreciate that. And I remember that night, I had actually bought a couple bottles of whiskey, and I think it was Saturday going into Sunday, I actually drank like half a bottle. And I remember the day before that Friday, there was this bitch that had called me, and she told me for like 3 hours all her problems. She was married or engaged or divorced. She's going through this. She thinks she's bipolar. She thinks she's borderline personality disorder. And I just listened, right? Like, I've always been that type of person. I'm like, if you're going to break down, you break down to me, because I'm the one motherfucker that can actually understand that. However, I'm the one who's going to tell you to get your shit together. I called this bitch. She didn't answer. I called 8 other people. Nobody answered. And I called my best friend, Maurice. He answers. Because I didn't want to stress my mother out anymore. I didn't want to stress out my sister. I didn't want to stress out anybody. I call him. I just completely break down. Completely break down. And I'll say this. That I'm like, hey, bro, just want to let you know. And I'm crying. I'm bawling my eyes like, hey, bro, I know you're busy right now. And I could hear in the back that he's partying. It's like 12:30 at night. And he could have ignored the call. And I call him and he says, hey, bro, are you okay? I'm like, nah, bro, I almost died. I'm just going through a lot of shit right now. But don't worry. I'm safe. I'm in my aunt's house here in Buda. I'm going down south to deal with another situation. Thank you very much for answering. I'll call you tomorrow. And he says, all right, bro, just if you need anything, just call me. And he was the only motherfucker that answered. And I called all my best friends. But it's that type of thing where I learned it was a turning point, a pinnacle, where those are the types of friends that I need. And after the situation, I brought my friends closer. I was like, the reason why I called you was because of shit happened. And that opened up their eyes. I'm like, if any one of you motherfuckers call me 10 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, 2 o'clock at night, I'm going to answer. And if I don't answer, call me again. Because I've learned that I've had to keep my ringer on. I actually had to take it off, do not disturb, because nobody calls me unless I owe them something or unless they need something. And I don't owe people shit. So, fast forward when we were speaking this past May, because I was in 2021 of March. Right now we're 2023. July. Best friend Maurice. And he tells me that. And I'm like, I'm going to be there. Because you were there for me. And I value that as a friendship. And I remember we grew up I met him at Tarleton. And we were in the dorms. Honeywell Annex. Everybody in the hallway hated me. Everybody. Because I'm loud. I'm obnoxious. I'm going to tell you to your face. I don't care if you're boy, girl, man, trans. If I'm going to tell you, in my opinion, what I'm going to tell you, because I don't care about the repercussions. I don't need everybody to like me. I need people to respect me that I've always been through and through. And with that, saying what's on your mind with conviction, it narrows down the pool of acquaintance to friend to best friends. And I have very, very fucking few people that I can call at 2 o'clock in the morning. And so going forward from here, when he had told me that, I told him, that I'm going to be here for you to make sure you don't explode or you don't implode. You don't put yourself in a shit situation that you did before. And we're going to persevere to the fact that you are a high value man. This motherfucker damn near makes 6 figures. I'll say he makes 6 figures with bonuses. Failed classes like 2-3 times. I think he had less than like a 2.5 GPA. And I say this not to defame him, not to say that he's incompetent. I say this because I'm proud of him. When everybody else was like, just switch your major, just, you don't have to go through that, come with the family business. I was there, I'm like, don't do it. Because you're always going to ask yourself, what if? And you don't want that regret. A lot of people have this ideology of, let me try everything. I told him, just commit to it. You're almost there. Yes, you failed it 3 times, but I will help you. Because I was good. I was really good at writing resumes. This was when I was in grad school. I was getting my master's in HR. I did a particular class called training development and workforce staffing. And I got really good at writing resumes from scratch. And I even made a business of it. That was my old channel, Gray House Consulting. And I was like, I'm going to help you. And another turning point, going back several years ago, he called me at like 10:30 at night. I guess he had an interview at 8. I think it was somewhere in the Fort Worth, Tarleton building. And he says, hey, bro, are you asleep? I'm like, nah, bro. As I said, if you call me, I'm going to be there. Call me at any time. I'm going to be there. He says, I need your help with this job application. I'm applying to Lockheed. And I said, okay. As I always said, I'm going to help you. And I pretty much broke down the job application, kind of tweaked his resume a little bit. I said, they're going to ask you these questions based on this, and this. This motherfucker gets the job. And I was super proud of him. Super proud of him when he got the job. And I've always made it clear he doesn't have to be indebted to me. Because we're always going to pay it back or pay it forward some way, somehow. So now I helped him with his career. He helped me with getting through this fucked up relationship. And then now I'm paying it back. And I'm like, we're going to help you get through this relationship. And bear in mind, I don't want to go into too much detail because I want to respect his privacy. But we'll be out and about. And let's say we're just casually watching the game. Or we're at a club or at a bar. Just vibing, dancing, talking to girls, whatever. And he'll tell me, it feels weird to be single. And I'm like, actually, it shouldn't be. Because what we're doing is you're going from breaking up to breaking through. When you first met this woman, and I value health and fitness a lot more now, because in my 2018-2019 relationship, I gained a lot of weight. I was like 225 to 265. I was horrified on what I looked like. I call it Fat Isaac. I remember seeing a picture on Facebook, and I was fat. I could see it in my face. I'm like, God damn, how the fuck did I let myself go? Because I got complacent. I didn't get content. I got complacent. I stopped working out. I tried to spend more time with her as opposed to keeping my boundaries strong. And we both got fat. I was disgusted with myself. Absolutely disgusted. Then I use that as motivation. And I've always dealt with my breakups by myself. Right? I was always emotionally reserved. Got through that. Fine, whatever. Lost the weight. Went like 265 to 213 in a couple of months. Especially during that COVID quarantine. After I got my diagnosis, I just slimmed down. And I was looking good. And now I sit about like 240. But I compete jiu-jitsu and it's all about weight classes. So I'm perfectly fine with that. But as I tell you this is, as I'm paying it back to my best friend, 4 years ago, when he got with this woman, the woman that he wanted to marry, the woman that he would have given the whole entire world to, he was, he's like if I'm 5'10", he's probably about like 5'8". He was about like 185 pounds, so he was looking good. He would train, he would lift, he would run. And then I told him when he got his big boy job, don't let those 10, 12 hours get to you. Don't go to happy hour afterwards. Don't eat some fried fatty foods and drink beer because it's just so easy for you to do it. Keep your workout regimen consistent. He didn't. He let himself go. I'm 240. I'm 5'10". I compete. If he's about 225, 5'8", that's not good for anybody. Anybody to be over 200 pounds, and if you're not in some competitive sport, it's bad. And now, with this, paying it back, I motivate him. I'm like, did you go to the gym today? He'll be on the snap saying, getting backs and tries, and he'd be like, just worked out on the row. That's exactly what he needs to do. It's exactly what he should have been doing, because both of them gained weight. Both of that couple gained weight. And even my other best friend, Scott, he gained weight too. He was probably about like 5'7", 5'8", and he was 300 pounds. That's not good for anybody. And then we kind of broke things down even more, that he was suffering from depression. I'm like, well, you don't have to bottle it up. You don't have to feel ashamed that you have depression. You could feel depressed. If you have depression, if you have a mental health disorder, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but what I'm saying is you eating yourself with pizza rolls at 2 o'clock in the morning, playing video games, not worrying about your career, getting complacent because you have the love of your life and you gain 300 pounds on top of a thyroid disorder, that's not healthy for anyone. If you have a heart attack by the time you're 30, how are you going to be able to take care of your kids? And we have these really deep discussions. And they know me telling this on my podcast, they'll probably give me shade a little bit, like, hey, you don't have to put my business on. No, because as I tell you men who listen to my podcast, you have to take care of yourself. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially, you have to take care of yourself. You owe it to yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of somebody else? And so now and this is Scott, he got his, I think it was his stomach cut. I can't remember what it's called. And now he's about 215 pounds. He's looking good. He's working out. And I'm happy for him. Absolutely happy for him. But I tell him he has to lose more. He has to get back in. And he's a great wrestler. He's kicked my ass, definitely, for sure. But as I tell him, it's those types of friends that you need. The friends to tell you that what you're doing is wrong. And to keep motivating you. Now, of course, you don't want to waste your breath on somebody who's never going to listen, right? You don't want to lead a horse to water and they never drink and you're just kind of waiting there for drink. You have to let that go. I get that. But the friends that I have and the friends that I associate with is that I'm going to push them. And I'm going to be there. Now, there will be a point where as I push and nothing happens, I'll wait. And they'll come to their own realization and I won't expend any kind of emotional, spiritual, or even physical support for whatever you mean. And then they're going to finally say, you know what, I do need to do this. And then they'll come back like, hey, bro, you're right. Absolutely. Because I've been there. I've been at my heaviest. I've been at my lowest. Now, I could say that with all the things that I've done in the past year and a half, I'm actually in a really good place in my life where I can move forward and keep moving forward. Yeah, sometimes I have some major problem with somebody or something or whatever, but it's not something that I can't handle because I have very little stressors in my life. And that's one of the things. I used to love controlled chaos. I don't even like chaos anymore because now I know what peace is. I will take peace over pussy any day. I don't fucking care. I'll fuck the bitch and leave her if she's the type of bitch to make me lose my fucking mind. Absolutely fucking not. You will not fuck with my peace of mind. And one of the things that I want to discuss is also the reason why I'm there for my friends when somebody breaks up. And we actually talked about this. They're always spending time with their significant other, which I completely get it. You want to spend time with them. But I'm also the type of guy where are you moving forward in your career? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? If we're at one point, what's the next thing that you want to? I know what my next career goal is going to be, right? If I could bring this podcast to the top, make some money with some affiliates, some sponsorships, that's fine. Would be more than happy to do that, right? And let go of my very well career that I have right now, the job that I'm doing. Of course, that's my next goal. But another thing that I also want to put in consideration is those are the conversations that I have with my friends. Because I don't want them to be complacent like I was. I want them to persevere. You can be content but not complacent. But another thing is you also need a woman by your side that's going to push you and keep pushing you. But you also don't want some prissy bitch that she always giving you this resting bitch face and giving you attitude for the smallest, minuscule, minute reasons and details or whatever the reason why she wants to give you fucking attitude. I can't stand that anymore. If I feel a woman trying to combat me because they're a boss babe or they're alpha female or they think because they're an attorney and they're getting their back, I give two fucks. You are not alpha female when I have you bent over or on your back. Give a fuck about dentists, doctors, lawyers, attorneys, CPAs. You're all the same. Makes no fucking difference. What I can say is you have a lot more student debt than the average person, but kudos to you. But one of the things that I've learned is, especially with what my current best friend is going through, is you cry to me, you don't cry to her. There's no needs to unfollow her or delete all y'all's pictures. I actually saw on Facebook earlier about this. I guess it's this Facebook friend. Let me put it this way. And he's in the cupcake stage, right? He's showing pictures with my bae, with my boo, with my love of my life. And then automatically, from one day to the next, goes from in a relationship to single, saying, fool me twice, shame on you. Some bullshit like that. Like, you ain't gonna fool me. You got me fucked up. You have other men on the side. You thought you were gonna play me. Guys, I think this is one of the lowest things that you could do on Facebook. And I used to be that type of guy. Now I genuinely don't give a shit. If you go back on any of my social media, any woman that I've taken pictures with, the reason why I learned not to take them down is because they're an example of what I do not want in my life moving forward. Every woman that I have as a picture in my life, I've learned I'm not deleting them because I want to reminisce of like, oh, that was a really good relationship. I'm not deleting them because when I see this, it's not because I want to get back with this person. They're an example of somebody who has exited my life and that they're not going to return. I am not friends with any of my exes. I don't have conversations with any of my exes. I have no girlfriends other than my 2 siblings that I live with. That's it. I don't believe men and women can be friends. There's nothing I gained from that. Even my siblings' friends who are girls, I'm not friends with them. I'm acquainted with them. That's it. Because that's a boundary. And as I say this, because getting through a relationship, however long you've been with them, and you think that's the woman of the love of your life, my thought process now moving forward is, and there are women that I love with all my life. There really are. But I've learned that if I fuck 2 or 3 bitches after this woman, I'm totally forgetting about the 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, however long I've been with them. I fucked 2, 3 bitches after them. I literally forgot about this woman. That's the easiest solution. And the best payback or the best revenge you can get on a woman is get back into the gym or keep getting yourself in good shape, excel in your career, accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish without her so you can prove to her that you don't need her. You want her, but you don't need her. And 4, when she sees you at the pinnacle of your career, she's going to realize, damn, I fucked up. Because bear in mind, as men, we have to persevere. If life was easy, holy shit, everything would cave in. Nobody would be in construction jobs or oil rigs or diesel mechanics or plumbers or electricians or HVAC. No. And you as men who are listening, I think it's important for you to also understand you can always find a new woman. You can even find a better woman. And there are some women that I've had to consider, like, do I want her long term or do I realize this is short term? And you'll learn. You'll grow. You'll learn to be more emotionally reserved. You'll learn to vet them out longer. I've always been fascinated seeing couples in the cupcake stage. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh, I'm just waiting for that other shoe to drop. This is not for me to be pessimistic in any way, shape, or form. I've dated women where I'm like, oh, I think this could be long term. And then other shoe drops, they call things off. That's why I wait for the woman to ask me, what are we? Whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, the ball is in my court now. Women are the gatekeepers. Women are the gatekeepers to sex. But the minute that you have a woman give it up to you, it's a big deal for her if she cares about her body count. Because she doesn't want to be seen as a hoe. But you also can't be so emotionally invested where, even though she gave it up to you, that she can see that, am I his just one luck shot? Or can he get more women? Because women want what they can't have. Even boss women want what they can't have. And it's those types of things that you have to put in consideration. Like there's some women that I've dated currently that we're having this conversation over coffee and haven't kissed her, haven't touched her, haven't caressed her, haven't done what dating coaches say, caress her back and anything like that. I just had simple conversations with them. And I remember the topic being brought up, like, the reason why I don't touch you is because physical touch is a big deal for me, right? It's my love language. And I don't want to add on to your body count if I don't see this long term. And her fucking response was, I don't care about my body count. That immediately turned me off. I was just like, well, I care about your body count, even though I shouldn't. But then she was telling me after that, well, I'm like, well, I've slept with guys and they ghost me afterwards. I'm like, sweetheart, I'm ghosting you after this coffee date. I'm glad I didn't sleep with you. One, I don't know where they've been and I don't know where you've been. But if you don't even care, if you don't have that respect for yourself, why should I? Now, I will say it is harder for a man to have sex with another woman, unless that woman is emotionally invested somehow. And of course, nowadays that can be very fluid what that means. But still, a woman is a gatekeeper, and women don't have sex with guys unless she is at some type of degree emotionally invested. So, moving forward, I think it's important for you to understand, do not be this guy on social media. One of the things that I see low value men do, and I didn't get a chance to finish it, so let me revert back to it. This guy's on my Facebook is posting with bae, with my boo, and then he finds out this boo has like 3 other guys in different areas, and pretty much saying, you could have fooled me, but I'm not about that. I'm not a punk. I'm not a simp. Whatever you could think on social media. And then I'm thinking to myself, it's not anybody else's business what goes on in your personal life. If you have to change your relationship status from in a relationship or married to divorced or to separated, you gotta let that shit go. Nobody fucking cares other than the next person that wants to sleep with you. I'm being for real. I'm being straight up with you. You want some God's honest truth? If you're in a relationship, divorced, separated, you're going to find people in your DMs, primarily women, like, oh, now's my fucking chance. And then you'll realize if they're really friends or not. But as a man, if you're posting about how much you really like this girl, and then you find out that she's cheating on you, there's no reason for you to be posting it all over Facebook about how she fooled you or she could have fooled you. In the first place, you should have been emotionally reserved in the first place. Get back to going to the gym. Stay peeing in the gym. Set your boundaries. Make sure that you don't let her break her boundaries. I don't care if that pussy is dynamite. I don't care if it's so wet you could drown in the fucking ocean. You do not push back your boundaries. Focus on your bag. Focus on your career. Focus on your physical fitness and health. Because then when you realize when the bitch gets fat, she loses her job, she has no backbone, she's getting fucked by guys for money, for food stamps, or whatever the fuck, living on her grandma or her mom's couch, whatever the fucked up reason that she's not being a respectable woman, you're going to realize, like, damn, I'm glad I'm not with that anymore. To this day, I still have women call me, text me, hey, are you okay? It's none of your concern. I'm no longer your concern. Why are you texting me? Yes, I did treat you with utmost respect. Yes, what we had was a connection, but you are no longer in my life. I have this one crazy ex that my number hasn't changed in the past 10, 12 years. And she has the audacity to message me, and even my best friend on Instagram, hey, we should link up sometime. Or I remember she said, hey, I found your iPod Touch. Do you want it back? I said, bitch, I got Spotify. Fuck I need an iPod Touch for. It's so funny when I look back into that because I'm like, I know, like, look, that was a point in my life where thought you were going to be the one, that's fine. But I do not text, I do not call, I do not email, I do not tweet, I do not twat. There was this one woman too, and I was very patient, and I have a lot of patience. And I think I tried 3 times trying to get something to manifest. And it was funny, she had told me that she was still in love with her ex, and she sees him every week because of the second degree that she wants to get as a nurse. And I'm like, I'm fucking done. That's it. She said, okay, that's fine. Now, it's funny now because I see her Facebook post, and she's always trying to do this, like, you don't need any man, but you can want a man. I don't need anybody. No, bitch, you're lonely. Because all that talk about you being an alpha female and an alpha male, or alpha female or a boss babe or getting your own bag, I'm like, men don't give a shit. We genuinely don't. It's not our biggest concern. We don't even put that into the criteria. If you have a good job, fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, you submit to me when you give it up to me. Now, I don't speak to her, and there's good reason for that, but I just find the Facebook post that she puts on her story very amusing. Because if she keeps that up, and if I'm 27, I think she's 29, or she's about to hit 30. She's going to realize really quick, all this time she was trying to get after her bag and all this shit. And she's very closed off, like, I'm an alpha female and stuff like that. You'd realize really quick that you're going to end up alone with no kids. And I had this one client when I was doing resumes, and I want to finish this up on an important note. I think she was like 40, 42. She was a teacher, I think, out in Grand Prairie. She was a woman that I had met when I was in this writing group when I was writing my first book, Who the Fuck Am I? And she needed help getting a new job. And she said something very dear to me that I hold in my heart, because it's exactly why I'm not misogynistic to the point where I hate women or I have an oppression against women. I'm not. If you want to get after your bag, I don't care. But what I'm saying is that when you focus too much on your bag and not your place as a woman, and there are women that should not be mothers, but that's the exception to the rule. But majority of women who are trying to get the bags, trying to go to Miami, trying to party it up, shaking their ass at the club, doing provocative shit that puts you in a category of just a woman that I have sex with, and not a woman that I want to wake up to and enjoy a cup of coffee and speak with you 15 minutes before my day starts. If I wake up at 6 and I have 15 minutes before the kids get up in my own house that I pay for, and have 15 minutes of a very cordial conversation of peace and quiet, of anything that you want to talk about, then that's your loss as a woman. Because what Xandra had told me was, Isaac, I spent 22 years of my life after I graduated focusing on other kids that weren't my own. And then I realized now how much I really wanted kids, but I'm past that. I can't have kids. And that kind of broke me too. Because I was like, you're absolutely right. Yeah, she was a teacher. Yeah, she climbed up the ranks, and however it is in secondary education, secondary education. And I'm thinking to myself, no, Xandra, I think that's one of the most important notes that we've touched up on this entire conversation. You focused on kids other than your own, as opposed to taking time off and raising kids that you want. That, I think, is the saddest thing. And I saw that one time when I was at a Luby's last year. And I saw a woman, probably about like 78 years old. I think she had an oxygen tank, if I can remember. And she's eating at a Luby's at Thanksgiving by herself. And it was the saddest moment that I ever experienced. I'm like, wow, you have, maybe they died or something happened. I'm not sure. And this woman, 78, fragile old woman, has nobody to enjoy Thanksgiving with. It was one of the saddest moments I ever experienced. I remember I had actually asked her to join us. And she declined, and I tell my mom, I'm like, I don't want to do this next year. I'm like, I'll drive home, or I'll go to one of my friend's house for Thanksgiving, but I don't want to have Thanksgiving if it's not with family and friends. I think what I just saw right now is the saddest moments that I've ever experienced, and I don't want to be this woman. And I feel sad for women who are very concerned about being these big-time corporate litigators or these big-time accountants or hedge fund managers or HR managers, whatever they want to do, entrepreneurs, and they're going to hit it past their prime, and they're not going to be able to have kids. They're going to be there alone. So when it comes to relationships, when you have to let someone go or when someone lets you go, you don't use that as a time for you to break down. You use that as time to break through. And if you have a good social circle, if you have good friends that are reliable and loyal and trustworthy, then you keep on persevering and they will be there to motivate you. I told this to my friends too as we wrap this up. I told my friends that, and it was funny. I'm actually going to put this out there. So we have a Snapchat group with, it's all of us, wives, fiancés, girlfriends, me, and our friends. And we're debating back and forth in this other Snapchat group where it's just the boys. And we're like, do we remove her from the Snapchat or not? And I said, remove the broad. Get rid of her. She's not part of the Migos. She's not part of the Amigos anymore. The only reason why she had friends, the only reason why she had us was through association. If my friends are no longer with a woman, divorced, separated, going through a breakup, then they're out of the group. It's principle. And I remember he tells me, the minute that we removed her from the group, she texted him. I'm like, bro, she's only friends with us through association. You're not going to... I don't even have her number to call her or to text her, see how she's doing. Or like, hey, heard you and Ruben broke up. Absolutely fuck not. And I say this, and I hope you men understand this. If your friend and their girlfriend or their wife or their fiance breaks up with your friend, you shouldn't even have their number in the first place. The only time you should ever speak to your friends, girlfriends, or fiancés is one, you just have to let them know some shit happened. But even then, it's none of their business. What is my wife or what is my fiance gonna do? No, I call my boys. I don't say this because I'm trying to keep them out of the loop. It's because what are they gonna do? Just cause more emotional duress? No, I need logical explanation and logical processing to handle this situation. I don't need you to be all fucking up and down, sideways, inside the wall and out giving me shit for whatever reason when I need my boys to be logical and solve this problem. That's what I need. And so I made it very clear. I'm like, we were talking about this way back in May. I'm like, if any one of you guys are broken up with somebody, one, I ensure not to have any kind of communication with that person because I don't care how they're doing. I care about how my boy's doing. That's my concern. I don't speak to them. I don't call them. The only time I call them is, if they're engaged or if they have a wife and they need something professionally, never personally. I never talk personal shit with said woman. It's not my concern. That's what they have to deal with. I have to make sure that I keep my boy's head intact. But in terms of professional, if they need something like with their resume or if they need some career help or if they need help with like an interview question, I could do that. But I speak to my friends first before I speak to them because it's not my concern and it shouldn't be your concern because it's about principle. And so if you're going through a breakup right now as a man, you don't need to make it a big ordeal on your Facebook page or your Instagram. You don't have to delete everything. It's gonna hurt. It's supposed to hurt. You're human. I'm not telling you when you break up that you're not supposed to be apathetic and not give a shit. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're gonna break down, you break down to your boys, your most loyal friends, and you make it clear that, hey, just another day in the park, we're gonna get through. And then when you get your bag, you excel in your career, get your body in prime health, she'll then realize years later, because you didn't block her, you're not texting her, you're not calling her, you're not seeing how she's doing. You just let it be as it may. That is a friend on Facebook, or a follower on Instagram, or Twitter, or Snapchat. And she's there. You don't look at her stories. You don't want to be like, what is this bitch doing in her private life? No. Build the resilience to not be succumbing to seeing what she's doing. It's no longer your concern. And then you'll realize you become a lot more emotionally stronger. And only then, when she texts you, maybe it's 3 months, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 9 months, maybe it's a year, maybe it's 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. She says, hey, hope you're doing okay. You don't even have to respond, because she knows. She fucked up. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for tuning in to my latest episode. I know I was away for a while. I do want to let you know that my book, Switching Things Up, The Kinky Solution to Saving Your Relationship, is now on pre-order on Amazon. So you can get that. It's 99 cents. Yes, 99 cents. It's a very short, concise book on going over what BDSM is, what does it stand for, the different archetypes and levels to it. And I have a progression on how you can involve it into your current relationship. And so I'm going to post a link down in the description. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, make sure to reach out to me. I'm available on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Rumble. Again, I've been canceled before, so make sure you follow me on Rumble. And until next time, guys, stay tuned. Exercise with caution. Exercise with consent. Exercise with care. See you later.